SLEvA APEA webinar number 38. So welcome to our audience. Thank you for joining us from wherever you are from all over the world. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. So as for today's session, we'll be focusing on our current journey, process and results for a community-led M&E pilot in Cambodia and Philippines. So this webinar is also conducted in partnership with EvalYouth Sri Lanka, Center for Evaluation of University of Sri Jayewardenepura, and of the Decade of Evaluation for Action. We are also being supported by today of the Asia Pacific Communications Hub. So yeah. I am your moderator for today. My name is Ana Erica Lareza from the Philippines. I am the treasurer of the Asia Pacific Evaluation Association and a co-founder of EvalYouth Asia and of the Asia Pacific Communications Hub. Just a few audience reminders for everyone. Please make sure to keep your microphones and video disabled at all times. If you are having internet issues with regards to the event, do turn off the video so that you could preserve internet bandwidth on your devices. And for questions and concerns, if you have any for our speakers, please feel free to leave them in the chat. We will be having a Q&A session later on, and we will be addressing them all later with our speakers. And also, if you, feel free to also introduce yourself, where you are from in the chat. We would love to definitely hear from you. So yeah, without further ado, we will now be officially starting this webinar with an opening remarks from Ritu Binanda, co-lead for the Strengthening Community Ownership Team of the Asia Pacific Evaluation Strategy. Over to you, Ritu.
Thank you, Erica. Hi, everyone. I'm calling from Delhi. As Erica said, I am part of AFRIA's subgroup on community ownership in evaluation. We've been having conversations and consultations for last 2 years with a lot of people, and we found that people truly care about communities and they are eager to collaborate, learn together, co-create knowledge. So we all thought, should we expand our group? Should we get more people into this? Because not only people in Asia Pacific, but across the globe, people are interested in this topic. So we are launching and trying out just a collab, just an effort out of a lot of love and affection to set up a community of practice, a group of people who really care about communities. So that we could all learn together, because no one knows everything. So on the 16th, we planned 16th of February, 2023. We plan to launch this community of practice. If you are interested, if your heart says you enjoy this topic and you are all here, so it means you do. So please join us, get in touch with us, and let's collaborate together. The coordinates to join are in the chat. My colleague will put them there. So, and enjoy the webinar. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Ritu, for your opening remarks and for dearly welcoming audiences as well. So to start off this webinar, please allow me to introduce to you our series of speakers for today. First up, we have Elene Cloete, Director of Research and Advocacy for Outreach International USA. Our second speaker also with us is Nancy Bobadilla, Trainer and Team Coordinator for Outreach International Philippines. We also have Kongvong, Program Coordinator for HURREDO Cambodia. Renan Penagunda, Human Development Facilitator from Outreach International Philippines. Sarawathphonam, Human Development Facilitator from HURREDO Cambodia. So yeah. Over to you now, Elene, to take over the floor for your team to present. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Erica. Ahead of the session, I just want to apologize. I might turn my camera off. My internet connection might not be as stable as we would want it to be. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm going to share my screen for our presentation to get going. Erica, can you give me an indication on whether you see my screen?
Yes, I see your screen, but not the presentation itself. So please try to present it now.
Okay. How about now?
No, we don't see the presentation itself.
Right. Was that Erica?
No, it's still, yeah, there you go. It works. All right.
There we go. Great, thank you. Yes, again, thank you so much.
Elene, you are currently dropping off. All right, apologies for the technical difficulties while we wait for Elene to be able to establish a proper internet connection at the moment. I would like to welcome Andrea Reed Davis. She is currently the she is the Chief Field Operations Officer at Outreach International. So please, Andrea, take the floor to present.
Sure, yes. Apologies for Elene's connection. She's currently traveling. So I'm her backup, and I'm pleased to be with all of you today. Outreach International partners with 9 different countries. 2 of those organizations, which are here with us this evening as presenters, OPI, which is where Nancy and Renan work, and HURREDO in Cambodia, where Kongvong and Phonam work. And our program partner staff, they are working closely with local communities to address their poverty-related concerns. They do this through the facilitation of community-led development. To be specific, our approach is called PHD, Participatory Human Development. Whoopsie, sorry. All right, our approach is focused on the analysis of poverty-related issues. Such analysis is therefore the first step in the process. People identifying, prioritizing, and then seeking solutions for their most pressing concerns. Such solutions then turn into projects, community-led projects, and they are envisioned, planned, implemented, and managed by themselves. To manage these projects, communities often need social infrastructure. Our practitioners, therefore, also support communities in the development and strengthening of community-based organizations. These groups all eventually become formalized with constitutions, membership rules and regulations, and systems and policies. And it is around some of these community-led projects of our community partners that we started thinking more about refining our community-led monitoring processes and what that really can look like. So to give a little bit of a roadmap for what we'll share with you today, in the next couple of minutes, my colleagues and I, Elene would have been the I there, will talk with you through what it is that they did, where they did it, and also reflect on the responses, outcomes, and all of the great things that have happened as a result of their actions. Nancy will provide a background and rationale for our CLM&E, Community-Led Monitoring and Evaluation, and describe where they did it, as well as how they did it. And then Vong will share some of the initial findings, followed by Phonam and Renan, who will share more about how they and community leaders experienced the approaches that were taken. But first, I want to pass it over to Nancy to give some more background on the community-led monitoring initiative. Over to you, Nancy.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrea. Thank you so much, Andrea. And yes, good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, everyone. So yes, as Andrea said, our program is participatory human development, or to put it simply, it's community-led development program. And as we facilitate it, we are constantly looking for ways on how we become even more community-led. And one such spaces is monitoring and evaluation. We facilitate evaluation and reflection as part of our intervention process. But in the project development component of our work, we use monitoring and evaluation of output and less of the outcome and impact of the project. Although we also track the changes as a result of project implementation, I think it has not been documented well. And apart from that, the role of the community in the project M&E used to be more provider of the data, usually for our own use. So these are the major reasons why we decided to implement a community-led monitoring and evaluation pilot. This is for us to see how that feels, how our community partners react to it, and how viable this community-led evaluation is in the context of their project development, and to determine what most appropriate processes can be. So where we piloted it, we decided to pilot it in the 3 field program locations of Outreach Philippines, 1 in the province of Nueva Ecija in Central Luzon, and 2 in the island of Masbate, and the 3 field program. So we piloted this with the partner communities who implement projects related to potable water, sanitation, and microloan. So how did we do it? We worked with the leaders of our partner community-based organizations and talking through the process of implementing a community-led monitoring and evaluation project. First step, we discuss with them the process. And this includes discussion on the rationale and objectives of data collection and the value or power of data, because if the community appreciates the importance of data, they will take the initiative to implement the monitoring and evaluation process. For example, our partner CBO in Masbate, named SPPC, they want to tell a story about their situation regarding their issue on insufficient source of potable water and why they need a solar-powered water system project. So we discussed with them that if they want to share their situation, then what data they should collect. So then they come up with a list of data, like the number of people who experience water scarcity, the amount of money they spend to access clean water for drinking, the amount of time they spend to collect water, etc. And then second step, we develop with them the appropriate data collection tool. It is a basic data or a basic survey that includes their formulated questions. We taught them about Kobo Toolbox. It is an online, offline platform for data collection that enables them to use their mobile phones to collect data. And then third, we pilot the survey. And we supported them in uploading the questions into Kobo Toolbox and testing the survey questions and scenario building role play. And then fourth is the actual data collection. So through Kobo Collect, we let them go house to house, explain the purpose of the survey, the importance of the survey to the proposed project, and how this project will benefit them and their whole community. Once the community member agrees with the survey, then they start data collection through an interview. And then fifth is data analysis. So through Kobo Toolbox pre-populated report, we supported them in the synthesis and analysis of the collected data. And then lastly, sixth, we facilitate with them reflection and planning. We let them share their lessons and insights about their experiences in data collection, identify areas for improvement and recommendations for action planning, and celebrate their accomplishment in order to sustain their commitment in community-led development. So as you can see, it could be a cyclical process because whatever the result based on data analysis, assessment, and reflection of the intervention process, the community will need to go through the same process for the succeeding data collection, whether it is midline or endline data collection. Because at the end of the day, the important thing is that the data extracted from the community by the community leaders will be used by the people themselves for whatever purpose they see it, like in raising awareness about their issue, in advocating their alternative technology, in their resource accessing, in promoting their capability as a CBO, etc. So let us hear from Vong about a concrete examples of the results of their pilot in Siem Reap. Vong?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nancy, for this opportunity to share how it went and the result of initial data collection from a community. Yeah, let me turn off my video camera to protect the connectivity loss. Thank you. Yes, currently the community have their own baseline data on their projects. They can use such data to advocate for themselves. For example, after the CBO had access to their final data report, they shared those reports with the local commune consoles to illustrate, with the use of data they collected themselves, the work they are doing in community. Also, when communities submit their final reports to resource institutions, the CBO can now also include the project data in these reports. They use such data to eventually show change over time. That is after the collected online data. They now have the capacity to use online platform to collect data. They now also have the curiosity to track changes in the using data. In fact, after they have done their initial survey, the communities in Cambodia decided that they want to also track the changes in their other projects. They have since developed questions for 4 more projects and in total administer a combined total of more than 1,100 surveys. That is just in the last half of 2022. These additional surveys included sanitary, which is currently a focus here in Cambodia because we are working toward open defecation-free status. The local government unit heard about the communities collecting their own sanitation data and then reached out to them by asking them about the data. This is because the government units do not always to concrete data. But now the CBO we support, they have such data and was able to share with the local government. To learn more experiences, you can hear from our field practitioner Renan and Phonam, but it could be Renan in Philippines first. Let's go ahead, Renan.
Yes, thanks, Bong. Hi, everyone. My name is Renan, a practitioner from the province of Masbate in the Philippines, and I support one of the villages in the municipality of Milagros named Kapakulan. SPPC is the name of the community-based organization, and they implement 8 projects as of today. One of which is the solar power water system that provides potable water for more than 400 families. Prior to the implementation of this project, I facilitated baseline data collection with the CBO leaders. This is for them to know and realize the current situation of their community with regards on their issue on insufficient potable water. I facilitated formulation of survey question based on what they think is important to realize in their current condition, about the issue and the changes that they need to track through time. At first, I facilitated data collection manually because this is the method most community leaders are familiar with. They went house to house and they were able to interview the total of 390 repeated survey them. How do we read and summarize the responses of the people? Because there are too many survey forms. Then one of the youth leaders said, we need to encode it in the computer. This is where I introduce Kubo Toolbox and how to use it through hands-on or actual training. As a facilitator, I prepare ahead of them because if they can see and read it. So I wrote step-by-step instruction on the board sheet, and this is very effective because they were able to create an account and upload their survey questions in Kubo Collect by themselves. When they encoded the responses of the people to the survey questions, I let them see the pre-populated report in Kubo tool, and they were very amazed that instantly that they could already see the summarized report of what they did. Now, the baseline data collection process is clear to them, and they think that it is easier to gather information if the survey questions are formulated ahead, encoded, and role-played. They also realized that digital collection is easier than the usual manual method. Members were amazed too because they saw the baseline data with numbers in graph. They said it is not difficult to analyze and it's easy to understand. Although the CBO leaders were hesitant and challenged because this is their first time to use laptop, it turned into realization and joy that they out. So the next time they collect data to track the changes in their condition because of the water system project, they can now use an online platform. For me, I encourage to keep this method because I also learn a lot about the process of project monitoring and evaluation that involves people themselves. That's what our experience here in the province of Masbate. Let's also hear the experience of HURREDO in Cambodia, and Poonam will share it with us. Poonam?
Thank you, Renan. Hello, everyone, and my name is Poonam. I am a practitioner working for HURREDO in Cambodia. I support the community of Ron just outside of the city in Siem Reap. I supported them in the development of their own community-based organization called OSD. Since OSD started addressing the problem, they have implemented such community-led projects. One of the challenges they has been facing in the Ron is low income. And to address these issues, the community decided to implement their own community loan project. But before implementing the project, the leader got serious about what their member current conditions are like. They don't want to use this information as specialized data to consider how the project will bring about change. After developing this survey, they then collected information from 112 households, and the leader did the data collection using the Kubo Toolbox and their cell phone. To be able to do all this, my colleague and I had to support the OSD leader with many things. For example, we provide them the training on Kubo Toolbox, how to support them to opening up and learning how to manage a Gmail account, and also their own Kubo Toolbox account. We also had to figure out with them how to best navigate access to the internet. Within rural community, it's not always easy. Here you can see an example of what the synthesized data look like. This is a report that Kubo Toolbox created with the OSD data collection. The technology is very, very hard for them to do it. But when the survey questions were successfully established, Everything worked and especially happiness in falling into place. The leader said it was a great success and they put a smiling emoji on their face. The member also said, wow, it's so modern for the people in this generation. It was really fast, easy, and exciting to learn. They are now so excited and motivated to collect their own data. They are now also doing it for another project. For example, the sanitation project. The information is now very important because the local government is asking if it can use the data that OSD collecting on sanitation. The OSD leaders should be so proud of the data because they collect it and develop it themselves. It is easy because they have already done it. They are now used to it. It is no longer something strange for them. Thank you.
I can quickly jump in. Thank you so much, Poonam. I hope my connection holds a little bit better. Thank you very much, Poonam, Renan, Nancy, and also Vong for sharing more about your experiences straight from the communities that you partner with and our community partners. We are now turning it back to you, Erica. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and we look forward to any questions or comments that our audience members might have.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Elene, for wrapping up the session wonderfully. And also thank you for our speakers as well for sharing your experiences. Definitely all of our audiences here today are very much looking forward to hear more about your experience specifically, actually. So now we are moving on to the Q&A. So I would like to ask our speakers to please feel free to turn on your videos for our audience to see you all, and also at the same time for our audience, if you have any questions for our speakers, anything specific, feel free to ask them in the chat, and I will then address them accordingly. So while we are waiting, so I'll just remove my spotlight so you could also see all of our speakers as well. So while we are waiting for questions, I also have a question. This is also for me specifically as well, that I'm quite curious of. We all know that during COVID-19, right? There has been opportunity to leverage the digital dividends, prioritize, leverage the technology for data collection, but at the same time, it also proposed some risks with regards to the digitalizations, because we all know that it is not, accessible to our communities. So this, I think, I would like to address this question specifically to Renan as well, because I know that he mentioned that it was a very, it was an experience that was really left a mark on him with regards to his data collection. How did you overcome the challenges in using, shifting from manual data collection from paper surveys into the use of laptops? Did you have any experiences in that transition, any challenges? And how did you also deal with other common issues such as internet access, and of course issues with community members or people that you data gather from being illiterate? So Renan, if you could take the floor.
Yes, thank you, Erica. I cannot show my video because the host of it. So thank you for that very good questions. First, I will answer the questions. How did they use laptop and develop the surveys with community leaders? So they use laptop for initial development of their surveys only. So even getting them to use laptops was already a very nice learning for them, because as I said a while ago, it was a very big challenges for us, because some of the leaders in the community are not finished their studies. So the good thing is that there is a youth member who is more experienced on using laptop and willing to extend their help and assist them on doing the survey questions, the kubutul with laptops. using laptops. So that's and also they said they can also develop survey questions directly to the tablet or even cell phone, because cell phone is right these days they are the most popular ones than laptop. So mostly of the leaders use cell phones. So on the second questions, how did they deal? How did you deal with the leaders, with the illiterate? As a facilitator, I prepared ahead of them because I know that the community leaders or members will better understand the instruction if they can not only hear it, but if they can view it. And I wrote it step by step on the board sheet, and if needed, I illustrate it to them and give example in order for them to understand it easily. That's all, Erica.
Thank you very much, Renan. And how about with regards to the internet access?
Internet access in the community, especially in Milagros, is very erratic. So there is this one leader who has connection with the Wi-Fi, and there in his house we developed and held the meeting so that we have a good internet connection in order to what's this, to create the kubutul and
Okay.
have the orientation and actual training also.
Thank you very much, Renan. So for our speakers, other speakers as well, if there are points that you would like to add, feel free to raise your hand, or just to expound further. So yeah, please do that in the Zoom menu. So now I'm going to the audience questions. We have a lot, so I hope both the speakers and audience would bear with me as I try to round them up as well to make it more interesting for everyone as well. So there is one. Okay. There you go. One is from Peter Das. So thanks for the interesting presentation. It looks like there has been grace. I am interested to know more about the formulation of the questions of the surveys. How did that question go? How did the facilitators guide that process? And I assume this all, I think, maybe tie up as well with regards to, both from the data collection side and even the development of the questions. How did you involve the community members in that process? So yeah, who could take that question?
Let me. Okay.
Please, Nancy. Please,
Oh,
Nancy, go ahead.
Yeah, and you can also support me. Yes, Erica. As I said earlier, we work with the leaders of our partner community-based organizations or with the formed community groups. So, and in the development of the survey questions, first we ask them of their situation, the story that they want to tell, right? The story that they want to share. And where will they use those story? Where will they use those information? And what will be the purpose of that? Okay, so for based on my example earlier with SPPC, they want to share their story because they want other partners who supported them to be informed of their situation. So they wanted to tell a story about their difficulties, they encountered, about the difficulties they encountered with the issue of their water scarcity. So as a facilitator, we must facilitate development of questions that give responses about their situations. So for example, so examples of these questions like So currently, where do you get water for drinking and cooking? Another question is how do you collect water? And then if the respondents say they buy clean water, how much they spend for it? How much do they spend for that clean water? And how much time do they spend to collect or buy water? And for example, if we want to know how many individuals, how many families or households are affected by that issue, we have to also include that in the questions. You know, it is really challenging the leaders not only to prepare ahead. So it is one of the challenges for leaders to develop questions because they have to anticipate the responses that they want to hear from the community members in order to think and develop the appropriate survey questions. And also there were cases that some questions are unnecessary, you know, in the process of developing those survey questions, it is like a trial and error. And that is the reason why it is important that we have to facilitate the review, the role play of the interview, because that then they identify which of those survey questions are appropriate, which of those questions have to be improved, which of those questions are unnecessary. So yeah, those are the part of the process in development of the survey questions.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Elene, do you have anything to add to that? Or was it well?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Erica. No, I think Nancy summarized it very well. Thanks, Nancy.
Great, thank you, thank you. Also, at the same time, I could see that we have an overwhelming amount of questions in the chat. So I would also ask our leaders if we could please reply as well. There's a reply option in the chat.
Yeah.
If you could reply on those questions, please do so. Please do so. But I could also while you guys are doing that, I would also call some questions that seems very much interesting. And one of those things is actually about the Kobo toolbox. So one of the some of the questions are, are also asked towards how did you guys use the Kobo toolbox? How long did it take for the facilitators to learn about the tool? And how did you guys train the community members to use that tool as well? And what are your quality assurances that you have put in place to make sure that your data is still of good quality and usable for the data analysis afterwards? So yeah, who could take that question?
Erica, I can quickly speak to the quality of the data because that very nicely connects with a question that Dennis asked in the chat. And that is about the triangulation and then also quality of the data. And I'm actually very interested, Dennis, and also Erica, that you brought it up, because we just learned over the last couple of days, Nancy and Renan, in particular working with you and alongside you and with community partners, that they themselves have insights in their community, right? And so they collect data about the context and the conditions within their community, but they then also can validate the data at the same time. So that's a very powerful dynamic, right? As opposed to external enumerators coming in, collecting data, not knowing whether they are receiving accurate data or not, versus community leaders within the community collecting data. They know what is going on in their communities, and they can then internally validate the data that they then collect from their fellow community members. And that was we learned about that through conversations with community members and also with leaders over the last couple of days, that is what they themselves have realized is for them the powerful advantage of this kind of way of data collection versus external enumerators just coming in. So I quickly just wanted to share that. I'll hand it over to my colleagues on questions like I got in box. Nancy, Renan, Ron, Una?
Yeah, so you can take the question on the Kobo toolbox. Maybe Nancy could go ahead.
About Kobo toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
If you will search Kobo toolbox via Google, you will see that Kobo toolbox is basically for humanitarian purpose. And the good thing, the beauty of this Kobo toolbox is that you can work on this both offline and online. So and therefore it is helpful, especially when people do not have access to Wi-Fi. So it is like when you are collecting data, you don't need to have you don't need to be online to collect the data as long as you have already downloaded the application. So it works for the data collection with cell phones, as Renan said earlier, so that the leaders could use the apps to collect data. And of course, because they can use it offline, they do not need to use a lot of data. So, and the good thing also about languages, yeah. And then it also generates simple reports of the data immediately as soon as they uploaded the responses to the survey. They immediately can see the pre-populated report. What else? It also, communities, of course, can use this report. And the beauty about this report is that they can, it has tables, and it is very helpful to visualize their reports that they can use to be in their awareness raising purposes, for resource accessing, for funders, for donors. Yeah, these are the beauty. These are the good thing about Kobo toolbox.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for sharing that. And I could see also as well that the audience agrees on how how user-friendly Kobo toolbox is. And I assume that it also reflects how the community, how the community members might have easily adopted the Kobo toolbox to use it themselves as well.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, but that is, but just to answer the question, no, this is not a a sponsored event by Kobo Toolbox. But
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
It's not, but it also helps to recognize that the Kobo Toolbox was also made in for humanitarian use, right? So that's why probably part of the development process was to ensure that it was user friendly. So thank you for that, Nancy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also would like to add, Erica, you are correct. It is not to advertise Kobo Toolbox. They can use any other platform in data collection. But the good thing also about Kobo Toolbox is it's free. It's free. So aside from being, you can use it on offline, it's free. So because, you can use it for humanitarian purposes.
Yeah. So so with that perspective, it's also safe to assume, to answer Alex's question, that because because it is an accessible tool, it also means that with regards to the sustainability of the data collection, it's gonna be much more easier for the community to continuously lead the data collection by themselves, right? outside of the project as well, or after
Exactly.
the project ends. Okay, so I hope, Alex, that also addresses your questions. So we are like, for other questions, I'm just gonna breeze through the other questions as well. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So I think this is also one of the questions, like knowing that data collection can be very taxing as well, right? For not only for the, like, you know, for the, like, the team doing the collection, the facilitators, but also for the community members as well. Data collection is a very taxing process. What more if you want to, like, you know, recruit them with regards to be part of the whole process, right? For them to lead us as well. So Catherine Laplantes, she said, since your data collection tool was a survey, I assume your participants were somewhat literate and techno-literate. As you said, there were young people used to use the laptops. Can you describe more factors of success in recruiting participants? So like, you know, what essentially, like, it also cover, if you could also cover, like, you know, how much time, like, you know, does it require from the leaders for them to be part of this process, and how do you keep them motivated and engaged throughout the process? Like, you know, what incentives do they receive through this? If you could describe that.
I can perhaps respond to that, Erica, as my internet connection hold. First of all, yeah, we have spoken about this extensively within our team, within the pilot, because, you know, you bring up a really good point. It is a time commitment, right? But to what extent is it an upfront investment in the work that they do? And I think through the facilitation of Nancy, Poonam, and Renan, facilitating with the leaders the value in data collection by themselves for their own communities, they recognize, we have noticed, they recognize that the time that they put forward toward this is investment for them in the long term. And I think that also keeps them motivated. That is a very interesting point, however, and we want to, in the future going forward, track that a little bit closer to better understand, you know, what is the cost benefit analysis here, right? What is the cost versus what is the pros versus the cons of doing monitoring by themselves within community settings. Erica, then you also mentioned about, I'm trying to remember the first part of your question. Sorry.
Yeah, how, correct me if I'm wrong, Erica, is how do we motivate the participants, right? Am I correct?
Yeah.
If you let me, Elene, I can respond to that.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah. So as I said earlier, our program is community-led development program. We call it participatory human development program, and we have components of areas how we work on it, from issue resolution to project development to organizational development. And in the project development components of our work, we usually facilitate in the project conceptualization. We facilitate prior to any implementation of the project management system. And part of the project management system is monitoring and evaluation. So the people, the CBO, the group that we formed in our partner communities, they are aware because even during project conceptualization, they are already aware that they need to conduct the monitoring and evaluation in order to track the changes or in order to determine whether their objectives or the goal of their project is you know, they are achieving they are meeting the objectives and the goals of their project. So they have to track the changes. So in order to track this, they have to develop the tool, but the challenge is how. And that is the reason why we have facilitators. We facilitate development of monitoring tool.
Okay.
And that is why we facilitate this community-led monitoring and evaluation. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Nancy and Elene, for clarifying that. Like to follow up as well, right? So maybe we have a couple of minutes left, just like one final question as well. Moving outside of the data collection, right? After the data collection, there's the data analysis aspect. One of the questions that's coming up as well is what's the process of the analysis of the data being collected? Is the communities involved in the analysis, in the analysis process as well? Given that you've mentioned monitoring and evaluation, and the community being involved in the planning processes, how does the community reflect on the data? And how are they able to utilize that data in a more concrete manner? If you could share those as well. So yeah, please let me know if you could.
Yeah,
someone could
thanks. Yeah, thanks, Erica. Yeah, I can go first. At this point, we are very grateful that Kobo Toolbox, as soon as you plug the data into Kobo Toolbox does an initial very of the data, and then provides immediately pie charts and an analysis of the data, a consolidated analysis, immediate analysis of the data. And as communities collect data in their own language, those pie charts, those tables, all of that is already in their local language. And then what our practitioners do is then facilitate with leaders through what those reports look like. They have discussions around, and then they do deeper analytical discussions on what they see the data is collected and consolidated in the data. For example, they look at their pie charts, they look at their tables, and they collectively discuss, what is the data telling us? What are we seeing in the data? What can this tell us about our current situation, and where do we want to see change going forward? And that's something that going forward, we definitely want to dig in a little bit deeper on how can we root and deepen that level of analysis. Erica, if you can allow me, I quickly want to respond to a comment in the chat box. Trang Dao asked a question or respond to a question saying, so I can understand that the community members merely participate in the data collection. And I quickly want to just respond to that. And Trang Dao, no, we want to very much from the get-go, as we develop with them a way of collecting data, we have them alongside our practitioners think through what kind of data they want to collect to illustrate change and to illustrate what is going on in their activities in the communities. And they collectively with the practitioners then develop the questions they need to have the data to tell them that particular story. So and then the data collection process starts. So the data collection process is actually step number 3 in the community-led approach to data collection and evaluation and monitoring. We have the community members from the
Elene, unfortunately, you're
involved in the process. From what kind of information? Okay, sorry about that, Erica. I hope apart from my message came through.
No, yeah, most of it, but unfortunately, we don't have enough time, and I think we have to start wrapping up. So for those who, thank you so much for our audiences as well. For those, you guys have a lot of questions, and I know we didn't have enough time to address them all. So I hope our speakers were also able to address part of your questions either through the discussions or through chat. But definitely, of course, like more of these discussions will happen, like, with the upcoming launch of the community of practice that we have mentioned earlier. So I could see that many of you guys are interested in this community of practice. Our team is gonna be adding that link in the chat very shortly. So if you would like to join and continue this discussions there, like, outside of the data collection, how much more could we strengthen the ownership of the communities in the evaluation processes and also of the results and how it's being used. Please do join that community and practice, and let's have a more meaningful and take our time in discussing there. So again, thank you so much for our speakers for sharing your excellent and wonderful experiences and knowledge with us. So to officially wrap up this webinar, I would like to invite the co-leader of EvalYouth Asia, leader of the Asia Pacific Communications Hub, and also an independent evaluation consultant, Hasiti Samarasinghe. Over to you, Hasiti.
Thank you, Erica. Can you hear me? Great. So good afternoon, everyone. Greetings from Sri Lanka. And of course, I can see that everyone enjoyed this session just by looking at the chat. So I'm not going to question that. And I'm thrilled to see such a stimulating and enthusiastic discussion today. And I really appreciate Outreach International, Elene and her team for their months of commitment for making this event a success. I personally witnessed their passion for weeks, and guys, you really did great work today. And thank you again, Elene, Cloete, Nancy, Renan, Kyo, and of course, Andrea, for your wonderful presentation. It was really fascinating to see and learn from your experiences in Cambodia and in the Philippines on community-led monitoring and evaluation. Thanks again. Also, I would like to thank our wonderful moderator, Erica, I would say, for her exceptional moderation. And thank you, Ritu, for opening up the platform and giving an energetic start, and definitely for your amazing work at APPIA. Talking about APPIA, Erica, can you move into the next? Thank you. So as APPIA, we believe that the meaningful involvement of the community creates transparency, trust, and ownership of evaluation. This process helps the communities to understand their own problems, to take action, and in turn also grasp evaluation. And when communities and citizens take ownership of development programs and their evaluation, it empowers them, strengthens equality and sustainability. We believe that evaluators have an important role to play in order to strengthen community ownership in evaluation by involving communities throughout the evaluation process. Therefore, as APPIA and going in line with Asia Pacific regional strategy, we encourage accountability and responsibility among the community people on evaluation under the theme Strengthening Community Ownership in Evaluation. And Madhuka will now post the link to our strategy and the theme. You can follow them and check out our ongoing projects and what we have done so far. And one of our key initiatives is the Each One Teach One campaign. In order to raise awareness and disseminate fundamentals to the general public, Each One Teach One campaign was launched, marking a milestone in the journey of strengthening community ownership in evaluation. So you can follow the posted link and watch the global online launching event, which was held on 6th July back in 2022. And through each one,
Hasiti got dropped off. So I am assuming this is, if you are familiar with the situation in Sri Lanka, there is a rotational power cups. Yeah, are you there? Are you back?
Oh, I am luckily I joined through two devices.
Great.
So, yeah.
Go back. Please continue.
Let me. So through Each One Teach One campaign, we try to facilitate a meaningful engagement of evaluation evaluation professionals and the general public, providing a significant importance to the public on taking the ownership in evaluation. So we invite individuals and institutions, including WOPEs, government organizations, academia, evaluators, development professionals, of course, then the policymakers, private sector, and most importantly, the general public to join this drive. So how can someone join and contribute to Each One Teach One? So you can mobilize your networks and partners to join the campaign, and you can spread the word on your digital channels using the communications pack that we have provided. And if you're participating in evaluation events, conferences, share this information about Each One Teach One in your presentations and, in various discussions. Collect videos, articles, photographs, quote cards, as many as you can, and I upload to Appia Each One Teach One drive folder, or you can email it to us. So our production team will be posting all the relevant links by now to the chat, so you can follow them. And all the communication guidelines, materials, examples, like everything is available on this drive. And most important role that you can play is take concrete actions to strengthen the community ownership in evaluation. So that is our end goal. So with that, I would like to wrap up. Thank you, SLEvA and Appia team, Asela, Punya, Ramdika, Pramoda, Madhuka, and May, for continuing this wonderful webinar series for months. And last but not least, our participants. Thank you for your presence and for your enthusiasm. Hope to see you all in the next webinar as well. Have a nice day. Erica, over to you.
Thank you very much, Hasiti, and thank you as well for our audiences. So before we officially wrap it up, just a few more announcements as well for our audiences. If you are interested in continuing these discussions, again, please do consider joining the launch of the Community of Practice virtual group for the strengthening of community ownership. And we also have the next SLEvA APEA webinar next month on February 27, launching of the first issue of the Asia Pacific Journal of Evaluation. So, yep. Again, like for the community ownership, join us on February 16 and hope to see you all there so that we could all continue this discussion. Thank you so much again. If you have any more questions, here are the contact informations of SLEvA and APEA. And with that, this webinar is officially closed. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye. Thank you again for our speakers for joining us and for the wonderful discussion.